are listening to Standards in 10 Minutes from The Standard Show, the podcast that brings you the stories behind the standards with Matthew Childs and Cindy Parakill.
Hello, my name is Matthew Childs.
And I'm Cindy Parakill.
And this Standard in 10 Minutes is BS 9347, Facial Recognition Technology, Ethical Use and Deployment in Video Surveillance-Based Systems. Here are 10 things you need to know.
Number 1. What the standard is all about.
Facial Recognition Technology, or FRT, maps an individual's physical features in an image to form a face template, which can be compared against other images stored within a database, to either verify a high level of likeness or identify an individual's presence at a specific location at a given time. The standard BS 9347 provides technical and operational recommendations for the ethical use and deployment of FRT for live or retrospective video surveillance purposes. The standard aims to assist users with their ethical and legal obligations towards privacy and data protection, as well as to mitigate the risk of legal challenges. Number 2. Why the standard was developed.
The use of AI-powered FRT is increasingly common, including for security purposes at large public events or even to curb shoplifting. And the industry is growing. It is expected to be worth $13.4 billion globally by 2028. However, the use of FRT for purposes of identification has resulted in some high-profile legal challenges, with accusations of infringements of civil liberty and around the ability of the technology to profile people based on gender, racial, or other discriminatory grounds. Such challenges have identified a lack of ethical and legal control mechanisms and the perception that the technology only provides negative outcomes. It is within this context that BS 9347 has been developed. It sets out best practice and gives guidance on the appropriate guardrails for the safe and unbiased use of FRT. Number 3. Who the standard is for.
The standard BS 9347 is applicable for any public or private organisation deploying and/or monitoring facial recognition, regardless of their size or the sector in which they operate. So, users of this standard can include retailers, entertainment and sporting venues, hotels, pubs, clubs, and transport hubs, private security companies engaged in crime reduction or building access control, and security system installers. However, BS 9347 excludes the use of FRT in covert surveillance scenarios, such as those regulated by the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000, and its use by domestic users. Number 5. A code of practice.
As a code of practice, this British standard takes the form of recommendations and guidance. It is not to be quoted as if it were a specification. This means that users of the standard are expected to ensure that claims of compliance against BS 9347 is not misleading. Users may substitute any of the recommendations in this British standard with practices of equivalent or better outcome. Any user claiming compliance with this British standard is expected to be able to justify any course of action that deviates from its recommendations. Number 5. What's in the standard?
The standard BS 9347 provides technical and operational recommendations for the ethical use and deployment of FRT for live or retrospective video surveillance purposes. It sets out 6 key overarching principles of trustworthiness: governance and accountability, human agency and oversight, privacy and data governance, technical robustness and safety, transparency and explainability, and diversity, non-discrimination and fairness. Number 6. How organisations use the standard.
As well as setting out the 6 key overarching principles of trustworthiness, the standard provides a summary of policies that are required to be maintained for each of the 6 principles. So, for example, for transparency and explainability, the user of BS 9347 should build a system that allows authorized inspection and maintenance of data on behalf of an individual. Functionality of the system should comprise the viewing, exporting, or printing of the information held in the database, the ability to correct any inaccurate information on the subject, and the ability to delete the subject. The user should also provide documentation explaining how the system operates. Number 7. Benefits of using the standard.
There are 6 key benefits of using BS 9347. The first is compliance. The standard helps organisations fulfil ethical and legal obligations in relation to privacy and data protection regulation, avoiding potential fines and reputational damage. Second, the avoidance of harm. Using BS 9347 can ensure that the ethics of an FRT application are set up and reviewed regularly to avoid negative impacts on privacy, dignity, and human rights. Third, the avoidance of bias and discrimination. It's important that FRT is trained in such a way that it's unlikely to exhibit bias by way of false positives. BS 9347 helps organisations avoid this. Fourth, risk mitigation. Using BS 9347 can help mitigate the risk of legal challenges, minimise the risk of system misuse or abuse, and reduce the risk of data breaches. Fifth, future-proofing. It's possible that BS 9347 will be a mandated part of the public procurement of FRT systems in the future. And finally, trust and transparency. BS 9347 can contribute to building an organisation's reputation for integrity, trustworthiness, and high ethical standards. Number 8. How it works alongside other standards.
The standard BS 9347 can work alongside and in conjunction with several other standards, such as BS 8406, a code of practice for event stewarding and crowd safety; BS 8549, a code of practice for security consultancy; BS 8418, a code of practice for the installation and remote monitoring of detector-activated CCTV systems; and the EN 62676 series for video surveillance systems. Number 9. The relationship with regulations.
Compliance with the British standard cannot confer immunity from legal obligations. So, users of the standard BS 9347 should be aware of several relevant laws and regulations, including the Employment Rights Act 1996, the Human Rights Act 1998, the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000, the Equality Act 2010, the Data Protection Act 2018, and the UK General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR. Number 10. The people involved in developing the standard.
The standard BS 9347 was developed through consensus with a wide range of stakeholders. These included Anekanta Consulting, the Association of Security Consultants, the British Security Industry Association, Chopfire and Security Limited, the National Police Chiefs Council, and the Security Systems and Alarms Inspection Board.
So there you have it, a standard in 10 minutes, BS 9347, facial recognition technology, ethical use and deployment in video surveillance-based systems.
You have been listening to Standards in 10 Minutes from The Standard Show. Subscribe to us now, wherever you get your podcasts.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.